bit because I was fortunate enough to be in the workplace chat when you guys were talking through this idea. I think it's an awesome idea. It's going to be a great panel. I'm going to turn it over to you, man, and let you take it from here. Thank you, guys.
Your mic.
Okay, how's everybody coming in? All right. Well, I'm just going to assume you guys can hear me because I'm going to look down at the public chat marks. All right, good. Sounds good. Great. So I'm excited to be here today and get to speak with all of you and share some of our do's and don'ts. This group that you guys have up in front of you is responsible for over 1,300 closings in the last 36 months. Guess what? The real question is, even though you guys have had tremendous amount of success, what would you do differently? How would you have redone those last 3 years in real estate? And I think that's going to be a fun topic to get to discuss today. If you guys would all hold your questions towards the end, that'll be great. I'll leave the last 10 minutes for Q&A. But right now, let me go ahead and introduce our panel. I'm going to just give you their names, and then because JC is sitting to stage left, I'm going to have her go first. But we have JP Fluellen, JC Young today, Paul Saperstein, and Debbie Hines. And we're excited to get to meet all them. They're all going to tell you a little bit about themselves because, you know, who's better to tell you what it is they do than themselves. So JC, if your audio is working, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you ended up on this panel today, and some of the other questions we've got in our group chat?
Perfect. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Perfect. Well, I think I'm the newbie to the block. I started in September 2013 full-time as a career in real estate in north of McKinney, kind of a rural market. And in January, I started opening some operations in Austin to start doing work there. So a dual market. It's been pretty exciting. I'm a single agent, individual agent, no transaction coordinator, and I did about 62 transactions last year, a little over 15 million. And it was just a really good year, and I've learned a lot. I'm happy to share.
Wow, that's impressive. Now, just those two markets, those are the areas you work?
Just in Austin since January 2020, which has been a little bit of a bump with COVID, but then mostly the North Texas market, yes.
Okay, cool. So representing the great state that half opened, right?
Well, yes, and I'm grateful for that.
Well, that's good. That's awesome. JP, tell us a little bit about yourself, sir. No audio yet, buddy.
Okay, can you hear
JP.
me now?
Yeah, there you are, coming in hot.
All right, perfect. I'm JP Fluellen. I am from Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'm in a market of about 80,000 in the county, about 60,000 in our local town in Cheyenne. I run a team of 10 agents, and I've been in the business since 2010. Started off as a solo agent, kind of realized I needed to start leveraging. I hired an assistant 3 years ago, and then started doing a lot of lead gen. Mix of our business is about 70% buyers, 30% listings. And we did 113 transactions last year for about 30 million. And primary source of our leads comes from online leads in sphere of influence. Yeah, and I'm also a musician, and I was in a band for 7 years, and I run a podcast as well.
Musician, a podcast. So there's something you do outside of real estate? That's so odd because I don't think anybody here in the audience is anything other than a real estate agent, right?
Right.
All right. Well, Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself, sir. We'll check your audio too.
So I've been licensed, probably the veteran on the panel, licensed 21 years. I'd sell in Palm Beach County, Florida, which is very heavily populated area. So, a little different from JP. 100% listing agent. Every one of my 164 sales last year personally was on the listing side. Niche in the active adult community, and 70% of my business comes from direct mail, believe it or not.
Okay, I know we're going to have some questions about that later because Marketing 101 would tell you in the last 10 years that direct mail's dead.
I can tell you it's not.
Okay, good deal. And Debbie, tell us a little bit about your background.
Hi, everybody. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. And, I've been sitting in, and as most of you have been on these, and there's one thing that I can tell you about Icon agents, and that there's a lot of commonalities between all of us. And so if you just pick up one little tip from today, great. Maybe you just want to put a twist on something you're already doing. That's what these are all about. Anyway, I'm from Rochester, New York. We sit right on Lake Ontario, Western New York, if you're familiar with what the state of New York looks like. I cover Rochester and 10 surrounding, or Monroe County and 10 surrounding counties. Monroe County, where I focus on, is about 1 million people. And let's see, what else can I tell you? I've been in real estate for 17 years. I've been with EXP Realty for 3.5 years, and I am a third-time Icon agent. The percentage of my business last year, we did 125 units. We were short. We normally do about 150 plus, but I shrunk my team down considerably. There's myself and 2 others. I focus on listings. Probably we're at a 60-40 rate of 60% of our business is listings and 40% is buyers. And I guess that's really all I could tell you. We have the highest taxes in the nation in our county, lowest home prices, but highest taxes. So carry on.
Highest taxes. I don't know if that's something I would want to hang my hat on.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's our claim to fame.
So when people are moving there from out of state, you're like, oh, you're going to love it, especially the taxes.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because when we have people that come into Rochester, say from Boston or like from California or out west, they always look, they'll say, oh, we want a luxury home and we want to look at about 650,000 and up. And when I send them a search on that, they say, okay, maybe we need to reduce it to 200,000 to 350,000. So just to give you an example, a house that cost $1 million in our area, we pay $50,000 a year in taxes.
I'm sorry, I don't think your mic was correct. You said 50. I think we're getting some feedback. It's 50,000 in taxes?
Yes, that is correct. My mic was working fine.
Wow.
So our luxury market really starts in the high 100s. You can get a beautiful home. Don't get me wrong. For 200,000, you can get a 2,200 square foot house on a half-acre lot, finished lower level, pool. We have a lot of amenities up here. We have great snow removal. In fact, it just snowed this past weekend. But besides that, we have a lot of amenities, and unfortunately, we send a lot of our tax dollars downstate. So. But yeah, our house prices are low, but our taxes are really high.
Okay. Well, that's a lot to take in. I'm sorry. I thought I had a good segue from that, but that just blows my mind a little bit. So, all right. So we have a pretty amazing group up here. All of you guys have different backgrounds. You've all been in real estate a little bit, different periods of time. If you guys all could you drop in the group chat how long you've been in real estate? So everybody in the crowd, let's see who our veterans are, who's new, who's out there. 17 years, 2 years, 8 years, 5 years, 1 year. Was that 1.5 months? Okay, welcome. Well, cool. So it looks like we've got an interesting group out there as well. Well, let me just quickly tell you guys a little bit about myself, because who doesn't like talking about themselves, especially if they're a realtor. I am located out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. I have been with EXP since 2012. I have been an icon with them 4 times, and at the end of this month, I should be a 5-time icon, which I'm pretty ecstatic about. Gotta love that stock. I'm really, really excited about that. But my business is primarily 50-50, both on buyer side, seller side. I have recently, about a year and a half ago, started a team, and I'm excited to report that our team is producing. And our team is responsible for right now, on average, about 100 transactions every 12 months. So that's pretty good for our local market. Our local market at any given time has about 2,000 homes on the market and 6,000 realtors. So it's kind of a feast or famine issue out there, and it's very competitive where we are. But I'm happy to say both myself and my team are essential. And I know that that's important right now because we probably have some folks out there in the audience that somebody deemed that their business was not essential, which is not ideal. I saw a stat the other day that was really intriguing. Literally, over $71,000 changes hands in one real estate transaction for a home that sells for $250K. So that is pretty wild. And so when you have an economy that's moving and moving and moving, and then you shut down those transactions, there's a lot of hands and a lot of people involved in those. But anyways, that's a little bit about my background. I am happy to say that we're still working and we're still moving here in New Mexico. JC, let's get to sort of the meat of our discussion today. So 3 years is a long period of time. I find myself kind of looking at my business every 6 months. Some people probably do it monthly, some people probably do it quarterly, but I usually put my head down and I can't think about working on my business because I'm working in my business. We all know the cliche, but once every 6 months. What I could tell you is in the last 60 days, that has changed for me. So I'm now looking at ways that I can make changes. And what I thought would be important today is to look back at the things that we have all done over the last 3 years to try and come up with the things that worked great, the things that didn't work, and what we can do from those experiences to move forward over the next 3 years. And so JC, if you would give us one example of something that you would do a lot more of, and then later on in the conversation, you guys, we're going to talk about what they would do a lot less of, because we've all got down those rabbit holes. We've all chased those squirrels, and it's amazing how much time you can spend in real estate doing things that don't produce income or non-income producing activities. So JC, you have the floor. Would you tell us a little bit about something you would love to have spent more time on, more energy, more money, and do a lot more of in the last 3 years? Take it away.
Absolutely. I love that question. Mostly for me, I would focus efforts on most effective areas for me, not for everyone else, on my strong suit. So it was looking back and figuring out what am I good at. And for me, it was the geo farming. It was sending out mailers. That is something I started with September 2013. Did 28 transactions that year, and I really didn't know anybody in this market. We had just moved here about a year prior. And then I went down the rabbit holes and kind of got back to geo farming and coupled that with my database management to do the follow-up. So those are the two things. When I look at my business, you said how you look at yours. I look at mine quarterly and just looking back that those two things worked for me. And when I got off of those and went down another rabbit hole and wasn't consistent with the mailers or a geo farming or getting my name out in certain neighborhoods, I could definitely see how my pipeline would start to diminish and getting back out there. Most of my business is 70% listings, 30% buyers. And that has worked for me. So getting back to that, and I noticed that when I attended EXPCon, this last one, talking to some of the big ones like Paul, many of them had consistently and are consistently staying with mailers. And I will say that that has really helped me in the past 12 months with the geofarming, and adding to that some of the geofarming with some videos and et cetera. And that has been valuable, but that has worked for me.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit more about geofarming? We have people in here from all different backgrounds, all different time frames in real estate. And frankly, there could be some people in here that don't know what it is. What do you mean by geofarming?
Absolutely. Geofarming for me, I have used different sources. I use Every Door Direct Mail. Many of you may know it, EDDM, where I can just target zip codes in a certain area. Roughly about, I started with 800, I'm up to about 2,000 now that I consistently mail EDDM postcards to. And then I also use a service called PropStream, PropStream.com, where I can go in and see who has equity, how long they've lived in their home, to do some direct mailing to them on geofarming. And then I also couple that with Facebook, putting out information to that same zip code. As we know, Facebook's changed over the years, so it's constantly ever adjusting, but going into Facebook and coupling that where I can keep my branding out there, my name out there. And again, not just saying here's a listing, but providing some content. I've learned over the years to provide content. I don't know what everyone is. I see some other people mentioning in the chat box are using geofarming very successfully. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about that, even outside of this forum. But that has worked for me.
So you mentioned content, and in an environment now where I think every argument ever is just solved by Googling a question. And there's sort of an influx of content. We can find content everywhere. What kind of content do you put out there that makes your direct mail unique? Or why would I or an end consumer pick yours up, read it, pull in the information? Like what is it you're providing in that content? And I think this will be a great question for Paul a little bit later too.
Yeah, I would definitely like to hear what Paul has to say on this topic too. For me, it's market statistics. So I do a market report I'm in a town of Anna, Texas. So in Anna, I do the market reports for, what is sold in your subdivision. I do a squeeze page for that where they can sign up, they can look at it. I add them to my database. They start getting a report every month for their subdivision. And that has been the biggest trigger. People want to know what is sold down the street. And if they sign up for that, Texas is a non-disclosure state. When they sign up for that, it's a way that I can get specific information to them, or what their house value is. Or I can drop even a handwritten postcard to specific houses with their current information. So it's more targeted rather than an overall content of what to do for spring selling. It's mostly, this is what's going on in Anna. This is the market statistics in Anna. These are the companies moving to Anna. And that works for me. I would love to hear what some of the other panelists have to say.
Okay, well, that's great information. I'll be honest, people can make money in real estate all different ways. And a direct mailer, I've never done, not once. Not once have I ever geofarmed, not once have I ever direct mail, but like you said, there's all different ways to make that work for you. So that's impressive. I'm glad you added that. Hopefully some people have some ideas moving from there. JP, question for you, man. What is it that you've done well in the last 3 years that you will do more of in the next 3 years? Tell us a little bit about some of your successes and, kind of take it from there.
Yeah, so for us, it's been online lead gen. We've spent most of the team, since I started my team, we've been doing, the classic Zillow, Realtor.com, Facebook. So we just continue to double down on that. But what we have done is been really good about trying to tweak our Facebook ads, because you can send out, pages and landing pages, and you can have generic messages out there, and then you're going to get super generic leads. Whereas in the last 3 months or so, we've changed up the way that we do our ads now to where it's a funneling type system, to where it's a video with a item of value, that then takes them to a landing page, and we ask a few more questions. That way we can get at least some more context to what kind of lead we're getting. Then it automatically kicks on to a automated follow-up system, to where they'll get it starts off with a video. They watch the video, they download the item of value, that sends them another video immediately. Then the next day they get another video, so it feels a little bit more personable. So that way they're going to react to those higher quality leads out. And then it's on an automated follow-up system. I saw in the chat that example of item of value. So what we send out is a buyer's guide for buyers, and then on the seller's side, we actually give them information on how they can sell the house themselves, and then they.
Okay, and JP, you're cutting out just a little bit, but I did have a couple follow-up questions with that. You said sort of double down on Facebook lead gen. What percentage of the leads that you're generating are seller-based or buyer-based leads? And then you said you're creating funnels. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And then big question is, how are you creating your content and your video? Because I know video is king right now. So I guess that's a 3-part question. If you can remember all 3 parts, you're going to do better than I could.
Okay, so first part is, so in terms of the mix, we actually generate more seller leads than buyer leads, which is kind of contrary to the way that typically Facebook leads are designed. And so the way that it works is, so I literally did all of these just with my smartphone, and then and I actually did the funnel videos all in one day. I did 52 videos in one day. It was a long day, and they're all between 1 and 3 minutes.
Hold on. Did you change outfits for each of those videos?
Every 3 or 4 videos, I switch shirts.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah, because we did day 1, because the way we'd set it up was day 1, day 2, day 3. So day 1 was all one shirt, day 2 was a different shirt, day 3 was a different shirt. So that way it looked like it wasn't the same guy. And so that's how I did them. And then I sent all the videos off to a service that kind of put the framework around them, and then did the closed captioning, because they say that, over 50 videos are watched without the sound on. So you got to have closed captioning to the whole thing. And then and so then they created them. So they worked with Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And then it was all hooked up to a landing page. And so every video says, so to get a free download, click the link below. So you put that on all of your videos. And that's how they get to that landing page. And it just, it funnels it down the rabbit hole, if you will.
Okay, and then you mentioned you use a service. I'm sure everybody's curious to know what service that was. You willing to share that? Well,
yeah. So I use a company called Zip Celeb. So you just go to it. So the idea there is zip code celebrity, and so zipceleb.com. Vlad there. You guys up.
Okay, awesome. Well, great. That's sweet. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I think everybody in this room could use more listings. And if you've created sort of the content, which is what everybody needs, where is a good link where people can find examples of your videos? Do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, if you go to JP's real estate page, I think the ads are all on there. So,
Cool.
I basically I just do all the content and I let those guys handle it from there because I'm like a lot of you guys, I don't have the time to manage all these back end systems and figure out what's what and all that though. So they actually call me about every 3 months and we change up the system. They give me the content, they give me the videos they need, and then I just produce that to them. They make sure everything looks good for social and everything like that. They manage all of my ad spend for my all my stuff too. So it's I really enjoy it because it stay more productive on the things that my today stuff, so they can do all my tomorrow stuff. So
Powerful, man. Well, I'm curious to know how many people in the audience are or have used video in their ads. If you guys would all drop it, if whether or not you guys have done that, it'd be really intriguing to know. Okay, well, Paul, can you tell us a little bit about your successes, what it is you've done over the last 36 months? I saw some of your numbers that you guys have put up. And it's just wildly impressive. So what is it, even though you guys are having a lot of success where you are and doing what you're doing, what is it you would do a little bit differently? Tell us something positive, something you wish you had spent more time on or more energy or more money.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, what I would have done differently is incorporate the digital advertising that the other people were talking about on stage into my print marketing, which we have done in the last 6 months, which is incorporated with KV Core, where we're sending them to this sell page, which then gives them an instant valuation. And that becomes a warm lead instead of a hot lead where they just call you and say, hey, come over and list the property. So having the technology that EXP's provided us has taken, where I'm just waiting for inbound calls, which happens every day anyway. Now I'm able to connect with the clients that aren't quite ready yet. And if you know your demographics well, which I market to the senior population, it does take them a long time to make a decision. And if you can figure out how to stay in touch with them before they make that decision, you've just doubled down on the amount of listings you're able to get in a certain amount of time.
Okay, so you mentioned you're using KV Core, and you're using it a little bit digitally. You'd like to use it more. I know about landing pages. I know about smart numbers. My team uses KV Core. We've had a large amount of success with it. We actually shifted our entire business over from 4 different CRMs to 1, which is just KV Core. Can you tell me how you would empower your print media with the digital media or the capture on those warm leads? What does that actually look like?
Sure. So it's actually pretty simple. I actually don't use KV Core to anywhere near its capacity. The only thing I'm actually using it for is when they request a valuation. So what we basically do, we go on GoDaddy, purchase the name of the neighborhood, say it's Aberdeen Lakes. We would purchase Aberdeen Lakes, homevalues.com. We would then mask the forwarding address to our, the front page of our IDX website, which is the sell button, which a lot of people don't even know what it's actually for. But anybody that goes on your KV Core front end website can get an instant valuation once they put in their name, telephone number, and email address. So we're just using the technology that's on the front end of the IDX website, and making it more attractive where it's on the postcard, where we actually have a domain name that it seems like it's just relevant for their neighborhood. So we're just having the card speak to them, which is really the key to marketing, is making sure your marketing piece speaks to your audience. If it doesn't, it can be pretty, but if it doesn't speak to them, it won't work.
Okay, so you're using unique web pages with forwarding and masking to basically get your folks to the sell page, which automatically generates a seller value for their home. And then that's how you guys capture their information, correct? And then that information ends up in your KV Core leads, correct?
Correct. I will say a lot of time the information that they get, maybe if it's a condo, so they don't actually get a valuation, which they're looking for, which also gives you an excuse to call. We're in the customer service business. We're not in the sales business. So we follow up with a phone call, want to make sure you got everything you were looking for out of your instant valuation, even though I know they probably haven't. And that just opens up the dialogue. We talk nothing about, can I come over? Are you ready? When are you thinking about selling? There's nothing to sell them over the phone. You're just simply a warm phone call to say, hey, I want to make sure you got what you're looking for. And if they didn't, then you do a full CMA, which I would email to them, with everything that, more thorough CMA.
Right, and I could totally relate to that. I've had the automated numbers come out. Some of my best listings come from bad automated values or a bad Zestimate. I get a phone call. I can't believe our Zestimate says that we're at blah blah blah. Oh my gosh, really? Well, let me see what I could do. Let me do a real CMA for you, and let's talk about what the unique value of your property is. I think that's powerful. Being able to capture their information with those unique web addresses, I think is great. And also, even if you generate a bad market value, you're right. That is another excuse to talk to them. And being in customer service, like you said, our job is just to provide that information, provide that service, remain top of mind. And then when they're ready, guess who they're going to call? I think that's awesome, Paul. I'm glad that you guys are having success with that. I have one question. It may be selfish of me, but I am in the process of redoing a lot of my marketing. Have you used QR codes? Either on your mailer or on your direct mail, and have you had any luck with those?
No, I mean they were supposed to be like the next big thing. I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago, but unless it's improved, I think you have to download something on your phone to read it. So, it's kind of keep it simple, stupid. I never tried it nor have any interest to.
Okay. Out there in the audience, have any of you guys used QR codes, and are you having success? One thing I can tell you about QR codes is the technology has significantly improved, because all you need is your camera open on your phone and it'll automatically take people to whatever website you direct. So I'm intrigued to see if this is a technology that people use and start to use or adapt, or everybody kind of skipped over it. Like they did, what was it, Blu-ray discs? So there was some kind of like a CD in between, DVDs to something else or whatever. Anyways, just so you guys know, QR codes can be linked to your KV Core sites. So I think that is kind of a unique tool. We'll just see if it actually takes hold. Okay, Debbie, I know you are dying to tell us about what it is you would do differently over the next 3 years that you would change, you do more of, or whatever that you did in the last 3 years where you've been very successful. Could you tell us a little bit about something you would do?
Absolutely. So, for me, I mean, it's something that I do look at my business. I regroup my business almost every month. The market shifts every few weeks, and so I want to go along with what our market is doing, not run after every shiny new object that comes along, because I hear about so many, oh, I use this and I use this, and you know what? It's only as good as if the person is using it, because you can write all these names down and it doesn't mean squat. So just a rehab of my business. I used to have a really large team of 15. I was a teacher prior to real estate, taught all in Catholic and private schools. So I have no retirement. I was not vested in any kind of retirement system, and went into real estate so that I could have some money when I retired. And that didn't happen until I joined DXP 3 years ago. So when I had a big team, I had multiple staff. I had somebody that looked over the office. I had 2 admins, one that worked with buyers, one that worked with sellers. And then I had a WOW coordinator. And she was the girl that went on my Facebook page every day. And she was the one that sent out handwritten letters. And I will tell you, still today, I do have her. I don't have the other 2, and I don't have the office manager, but still today, anything that goes out of my office is completely the envelope is handwritten. Sometimes even the card inside is handwritten. And I think that that makes a world of difference. My biggest problem was trying to get a new administrator person in my office that could continue to keep my sphere updated the way it really should have been. And where I was looking for cheap, trying to, cut costs, I realized that, that expression, what's the cost of a bad hire? I think in 2018 or 2019, I had 12 different admins. They literally worked for 2 weeks and that was it. And so now I realize, obviously, that you should pay a little bit more and get somebody that really knows what they're doing behind the scenes so that they can really help you out. For me, not only working on your sphere, but working with your past clients are really important. We all know the type of client that we want to work with. And that's a client that we've worked with, that we've had a great relationship with. And I noticed when I was just doing, many of the same things that Paul was doing, I do a ton of direct market. I have 270 benefit-rich domain names. We do direct marketing, we do direct mailing, we do all that stuff. I just don't get into the habit of doing emails to people. I will send it to them by mail, again, in an addressed envelope, and continue down that route to make what I call a client for life. Because even though I have a small team now, I tell everybody on my team, if a 5-star review were the only form of pay you got today, what would you have earned? Would you have earned 1 star, 2 star, or 5 stars? So we focus a lot now, much more than we did before, on our database of past clients and, referrals, whatever you want to call them, and really include them in our daily business. So several years ago, I read a really good book, and I'll type it in the chat after I'm finished. Really small book. It's called Perk Your Sphere. And it was all about, having the raving fan clients and what you can do to them. And again, I include them when I have open houses. When we could have open houses, I would send out personal invitations to my sphere to have them come in and look at their house and value their opinion. So it's making that really strong bond connection with them. In addition to that, we also have a worthy cause. We let every one of our past clients and clients now, we do it at both the buyer presentation and the seller presentation. We let every one of them know that we're on a mission to raise money for, whatever a charity is, and ours is the local children's hospital, and that we're on a mission to raise $10,000. And we do that by giving back a portion of our income to these charities. I will tell you that once we started focusing on them as being part of our extended family, we went from doing a 40% repeat business in referrals to a 65% repeat, business in referrals. So I think that helps out. That has helped out greatly. Our numbers have dwindled, but I have less people on my team. We're still selling the same amount of houses, just, less people. So I think that that's really important. As far as, as I said, we do 60% our sellers and 40% our buyers. We do a lot of marketing, neighborhood farming. Whenever we get one of our leads in where we have a conversation, if it's a selling lead, we have a campaign that we automatically send out stuff in that neighborhood direct marketing pieces, why they should hire me as their, or why they should hire the Rena Hines team as their realtor. Stats, just quick stats, but mostly stats about our team and compared to the other agents. So it's a little bit different than just listed, hey, I just listed this house or just listed that house. And again, it always has, as Paul said, it has a benefit rich domain name on it. So it really looks like it's more for them. In addition to some of the direct mailing pieces that we send out, we don't put any other way to contact us other than by phone. So we want to have that upfront face-to-face phone call. I mean, now we have to do it through Zoom or FaceTime, but we want to have that upfront conversation with them. We don't want to hide behind an email. So we don't email. We do very little emails. So I think that those are two of the things, or several of the things that I've changed over the years to where we are now. I recently started working with a company that sends out some great gifts. Not that I want to tell you, I don't give housewarming gifts, but I'll run funny little things on Facebook, like, hey, the next 5 people that see this, you'll get some kind of a surprise from me. And so it's typically 5 of my clients, or 5 people in my past life, and I'll send them something through this particular company. It's called Banner Seasons. It's a great company to work with. I don't know if any of you are working with it. I'll type that in the chat box also. As far as, again, focusing on our clients, every quarter we have a client appreciation brunch, and we used to only invite the people who referred us a client during that time. And then we changed that over to we invite anybody that bought a house during that quarter. We have them once a quarter. And now we've started inviting past clients who maybe we have lost touch with to these client appreciation functions. And whether it's at Halloween, giving out a pumpkin, or another time of the year where we give a Cutco knife, but we don't, as I said, we don't give out closing gifts. We never do that. We also have, once a quarter, we have something called I Love You a Latte, where we invite all of our clients. We send out a mass mailing and say, hey, I Love You a Latte is coming up is coming up again soon. Meet us at this coffee shop and we're happy to buy you a beverage. And then we put that on Facebook, and so it really gets opened up to everybody. And we always have a pretty good turnout. We changed I Love You a Latte to also add with our monthly newsletters. We do I Love You a Lotto, and so we randomly pick 100 people in our database, and they not only get the newsletter, but they also get a lottery ticket. So, and we always write a story about something happening with our worthy cause, about where what's been going on, and what our money that we've given our worthy cause has provided for the hospital, or where it's going to. And then yesterday I was actually in a room listening to one of the people, and here's where I said, if you just pick up one golden nugget from this, it's great, because you can twist it around. This gentleman was talking about how he posts a Starbucks card on Facebook with the serial number, so that anybody can go into Starbucks and get a cup of coffee or whatever. He says he buys $100. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's perfect. I can incorporate that now with COVID-19 with my I Love You a Latte. I don't have to stop doing that. I can just post it online, and if people go in and get a cup of coffee or a sandwich, that's great. It's a way of keeping in touch with people. So I guess that's all I have to say.
All you have to say. I am actively taking notes because I got a ton of questions. So thank you for that information. Couple questions. And one thing I want to ask the audience here is, before I ask Debbie, what systems are you using for CRM? What are you using after closing to keep up with your clients? And then Debbie, that is my segue to ask you. You said you do handwritten envelopes, you invite people to a latte, you keep them in touch with handwritten notes, all of that kind of stuff. What system are you using in order to keep up with that database? And then I have a confession. We're actually we are live streaming this on Facebook right now, and so some of my past clients are probably listening to me. But that being said, I'm really good at making fast friends with people, helping them through their closing, and then I have no idea what to do with them after that. Sounds like you have that nailed. So I would love to hear more on how you keep in touch, what CRM system you're using, and what you're doing to provide value post closing. Can you tell us a little more, Debbie?
So right now, I'm hoping that I don't have early onset of Alzheimer because I keep it all in my brain. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just a jokester. So we use two systems. Prior to coming to EXP, we were using Commissions Inc. And then, of course, when when EXP went over to Commissions Inc., it was right about the same time. We never swapped over to KV Core conversion. So we use that, and I actually have two systems. Commissions Inc. is for everybody, but also people that we've not met that maybe we've done a presentation to over the phone, but they're not ready to buy a house or something like that. And then I use something which is very inexpensive every month. It's called Wise Agent. And it's with Wise Agent that I actually keep all this stuff and know what to do when. Did you get all that?
Yes, I did. I'm still taking notes.
Was there more of a question?
No, that's exactly what I asked. Now, you've got two systems you're using for two different types of clients. However, after closing, my real question is, when you call or you keep up with these folks, what is it that you guys talk about? Because I don't know how to genuinely ask somebody I haven't talked to, and this is probably the mistake, in the last 2 years, how are you doing? Because I don't know how to not come across as fake or uninterested or whatever. I mean, what is it you do? And it sounds like you already communicate with them more than I do in the next 2 years, but what do those conversations look like to stay relevant?
Thank you for asking that, because that's a great question. So and I do this all the time. So if there's somebody that I really haven't spoke to in a long time, I will call them up. And, I tell them right out, listen, I owe you an apology. You know what? 16 years ago, you helped me get my start in business, and I've just, I let things go, and I haven't spoke to you in a while, and it's on me. And, I'd love to invite you to our next I Love You a Latte, or I know you've gotten invitations to our client appreciation breakfast. Please, please stop by if you can. I'd love to see you. With COVID now, it's been a little bit different. And again, I started this whole thing out by saying that so many of us that are sitting up here on stage or sitting in the audience, there's commonalities. Yesterday, a woman spoke about that. It took her a long time, but she sent everybody in her phone database a text message. And you know what? When this first happened, I did the same thing. It took me 4 days to send everybody in my phone I didn't do it by like cold resources, voice blast, voice text. I did each one individually. It took me, like I said, it took me 4 days from morning until night. And it basically, reached out to them personally, tell them, that it had nothing to do about real estate. Thinking about you during this crazy time, we're going to get through this together. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to let me know. I'm happy to drop something off at your door. I know you just had a new baby. Do you need diapers or whatever came to my mind? And I sent that out, and I can't tell you the response back. Yes, it took a lot of work on my time, but it was very beneficial. One of my closest girlfriends is sitting in the audience, Suzanne Vasbinder, and we happen to have the same real estate coach, and we both are coaches, but not that has anything to do with this. But she did a challenge with our group to do 20 for 2020, and that was every day sending out 5 handwritten notes, making 5 phone calls, 5 text messages, and 5 emails. And if you keep doing that, it just kind of snowballs. One thing happens after another. I got back some awesome text messages from people who I haven't spoke to since I first was in real estate saying to me, I can't believe we've been in our house 17 years. This never would have been possible, Debbie, without you. And again, I wrote back to them saying, hey, what about, coming to our next client appreciation party? Because we're going to have a huge one when this COVID thing is over and we can start getting together again. So I think things like that, or on a day-to-day basis, we all get this, like all of a sudden somebody pops into your brain. So you think about them. So instead of just thinking about them, make a phone call. So the conversation that I have is, hi, can you help me out with a situation? Like everybody else did that was at that other company, that red and black company, that script. But I'll call them up and I'll say, hey, listen, I haven't spoke to you in a long time. And I'm recreating my vendor list. Have you had any work on your house in like the last 5 years that maybe I could add to my vendor list? And so asking that way, and then of course, if they say yes, hey, would you mind if I stopped over just to see the work that they did? Because I want to make sure that your work is something that I can tell somebody else about, this, carpenter, this carpet installer, this painter, whatever, to add to my vendor list. And then that starts another conversation. Hey, I'm over at your house now.
Wow.
Did a stop by, and I'm over at your house now. And, honestly, do you realize by doing this to your house, it probably has increased your property, geez, whatever, X amount of dollars. And there's another conversation.
Wow. And you said if we could just only take away one nugget from today's conversation, right?
Absolutely.
Well, Debbie, thank you for that. Something I'm going to take away from this is, will you turn off your mic? Thank you. One main thing that I'm going to take away from this is those conversations that you're calling them for. You are making the conversation about you, saying, I'm sorry, I've been, doing this, doing that, but you immediately move it over to a conversation about them. And then at the end of the conversation, you ask for help because people like helping people. And I think that's powerful. So you're not just making it about you, you're making it about them. You're inviting them to an event, you're adding value, you're giving them something, and then you ask for help at the end. And I think that's great. I think that's a good way that we can talk to anybody, no matter how long ago it was that we worked with them. So we are going to have to start wrapping this up, which means audience questions, please don't turn on your mics because all 300 of you will do it at the same time. But please type in your quick, short answer questions now for the panel, and I will read them off, and hopefully we can get to them. But we've got about 8 minutes left. I'm sure we'll use it all, but if you guys have a quick question for any of our panelists, let me know and I'll throw it in there. I'm going to wait like about 30 seconds. Otherwise, I have more questions. Waiting. Oh, and Curtis said we've really only got 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. All right. One last question then. I'll just go ahead and take this away. In the next 60 days, and you guys don't know I'm asking this question, but give me a 1-sentence response to what is it that you're going to do to direct your business in the next 60 days. And JC, you are on button. What is it that you're going to do to bring in more income in the next 60 days? 1 sentence.
Real quick, one thing that we're already doing in the past week that I failed to mention is on our online lead generation, we're doing quick short videos that says, hey, Kevin, this is JC. Saw you responded to one of our information sessions, blah, blah, blah. And we are just killing it with that. So that is something we are definitely going to pump up even more on all aspects of our business.
Great. JP, come at me. 60 days. What are you going to do to make a difference?
We're going to start geo farming, actually. So I think that's going to be because the more multiple streams of revenue and income you can generate, the better. That way, in a market like we're in right now, when things start to shift, you have 5 or 6 different avenues. They're all going, one of them's got to work.
I love it. Paul, come at me, man.
I'm going to take this time to reconnect with the sphere of influence and, double down on the database work.
I love it. I think I'm doing hopefully all of the 3 things you guys have all said so far. And Debbie, come at me. What do you got?
So the only thing that I'm going to do differently over the next however many months is I've started working with agents in other areas to do co-marketing, especially up in Rochester where it's so cold. People love to go to Florida. People love to go to Arizona. So I'm aligning myself with a couple of agents that we can do some co-marketing.
Awesome. Okay. And a reminder to everybody who attended today, especially you icons, please fill out the survey below. Thank you all for your time. I am going to wrap this up because I think there's like a big hook that pulls me off the stage, like in a minute or two here. I think his name's Curtis Dixon. Yeah, there he is. He's creeping in the corner.
Kevin, I appreciate it, man.
All yours, buddy. Thank you all. Please fill out your surveys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, hosts. Thank you, panelists. This was an amazing session. So much audio.